Unlike every ICO out there, Bitcoin is not a security. In fact, Bitcoin may become the currency of the future internet, and it may replace dollars and euros and other fiat currencies around the world. Let's discuss. Hey everybody, I'm Gary Palmer Jr., you're you, and together we are Minting Coins, your trusted source for crypto news, interviews, and ICO reviews. Thank you for showing up. Tap that like button. It really supports us and it helps other people find this content. Also, if you have any questions or comments, leave those in the comments box below so that your voice can be heard as part of the community. I want to thank you for coming around, for sticking up, for showing up with our show that we have here with Minting Coins. There is a lot going on. There is a lot happening. And if you are a longtime subscriber, you know that we are very, very passionate. We are very, very committed. And there's a lot happening in not just the cryptocurrency space, but in our lives and what we're doing and seeking to do with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency around the world and in our local community. And also, more importantly, what cryptocurrency and what decentralized technology is doing for us. So we've had this YouTube channel for 2 years, it seems. And in addition to this YouTube channel that we started a couple years ago, before Bitcoin even hit that $1,000 point in 2016, 2017, we've also been having these local meetups in where we live, Rochester, New York, Western New York, New York State, talking about Bitcoin, digital assets, blockchain technology, why this technology is new, different, interesting, exciting, and what we could potentially look forward to in the short time ahead, and just the months ahead and the years ahead. What could Bitcoin do? What could decentralized technology do? What could tokenization and ICOs and tokenized securities do for the traditional financial world, for trust between all of these different people? And these are just really very exciting times. So while we're not always here to make videos, we are here every week meeting with people. We are having crypto coffee meetups. We are having evening meetups. We are having workshops. We are having classes. We are having discussions with new users to the space. And we are having discussions with business leaders as well, talking about what is the opportunity for all of us as individuals? What is the opportunity for us as businesses moving forward in this, catch-22 of users having cryptocurrency and then businesses accepting it, and then businesses accepting cryptocurrency, therefore more users wanting to have it, wanting to know what it is, wanting to pick up a little piece of it. And it's just very, very exciting. Also, recently, we started making videos exclusively for our Patreon subscribers. So if you would like to see those videos, come check us out over at Patreon, and you can see what we have to say that's maybe slightly more on a personal level, slightly more on an insider level of what's happening with Minting Coins, what's happening with Bitcoin NYS, what's happening in terms of the projects that we're going to be getting involved in. We're going to be sharing that information either exclusively with Patreon subscribers, or at least at first to Patreon subscribers. So feel free to go over there, check out what's going on. We're probably going to be a little more open, a little more raw, a little more personal, since really on this channel we've been focusing strictly on the news, on the industry, what is happening, why it's important that we learn about decentralized technology, why is it important that you learn how to validate your own information, why is it important that you run an actual node for Bitcoin or the projects that you happen to be interested in. But in some of these private videos that we're going to be sharing with Patreon subscribers, we're going to talk about some of the nitty-gritty that's happening behind the scenes. We're going to talk about some of the problems that we're facing personally and also professionally in the cryptocurrency field, in the digital technology field, and also digital privacy, how this relates to digital privacy and what's going on as well. Talk about some of the extortion threats that we've been having to deal with. And, that hasn't been fun at all. And also where we project the future to go, where we are going as minting coins, and how everyone can participate, how everyone can be involved with what's happening, our discovery, our learning process, so that you can be minting coins too, so that each of us can be minting coins together, because together we are minting coins, together we are decentralized technology, together we are taking action to take this little bit of ownership into our own sovereignty, our own freedom, our own personal responsibility to own a piece of this new network, to own pieces of this new technology, even if they're just fractional segments of what's happening, because very, very exciting things are on the horizon, and it's going to be just mind-blowing what people are going to come to realize. And there's going to be a lot of FOMO in terms of them thinking that they missed out, them thinking that it's too late, especially as the traditional financial industry starts to pivot. We have the New York Stock Exchange, the largest exchange in the world, getting involved in cryptocurrency trading. NASDAQ, the second largest in the world, getting involved into Bitcoin futures, investing in all of these different companies. Bank after bank, between JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Fidelity Investments, one after another, each of them getting involved in a Bitcoin network, mining the Bitcoin blockchain, and then getting involved in other digital securities, distributed ledgers, blockchain technologies that are going to help them either directly on Bitcoin and Ethereum and these different platforms, but also to digitize the traditional financial world as well, so that the traditional financial world will be able to keep up with blockchain technology and tokenization, and what that means in terms of improved efficiency, improved speed, lower cost, more transparency, better privacy, if not perfect privacy on some of these platforms. And all in all, increasing the economic growth, increasing the involvement of more people across the world, more people that have ever been involved in the worldwide economy are about to enter this economy. They're about to have a huge step up at being at a more equal level with first world industries, first world economies. And it is just mind-blowing. It is just exciting. It creates this blend of anxiety and actionable execution of goals and strategy of what's happening and what's upon us. Now, it's really important to note, with the content we're creating, with what it is that we're doing in terms of being media and providing commentary on top of the news and information that's happening in the space, we are really interested. Specifically, I am very interested in doing more than simply providing the news. I really want to be involved in the development of the technology, in the development of the marketing, and the ability for the most number of people to participate, to have the greatest amount of decentralization and distribution, which is going to just add additional strength into the blockchains that achieve this level of usage, this level of adoption, this level of decentralization, this level of trust that, again, this technology is seeking to provide. So I just want to thank you for showing up. I want to thank you for being here. We're going to go over some of the news. We're going to take a peek around, see what's happening in the world, and let's discuss all of that. So starting over here at livecoinwatch.com, we haven't been over here in a while. We see that we are living in a world where the total market cap is $339, almost $340 billion. And keep in mind, when the dot-com crash happened, NASDAQ was about 4.9, about $5 trillion. So we could easily 10x with the amount of capital that could potentially enter the market in any given quarter. It could be a quarter this year, it could be an early quarter next year. We know that there's all of these mechanisms being opened up. We just listed all the exchanges, or a couple top exchanges and top banks that are getting involved. Once they have these platforms open and they are ready to make money with blockchain, then they're going to release the floodgates of a lot of this capital coming into the market, being able to either indirectly or directly hold this Bitcoin, locking up this Bitcoin based on the new demand, the new potential demand that will be available from people that will now be able to access this Bitcoin, from money that will then be able to access this Bitcoin and either hold on to it or transfer itself into the Bitcoin by exchanging dollars for Bitcoin. Keep in mind that every single digital asset out there, all of them, of the thousands and thousands of new ones that are available now and becoming available, are tradable against Bitcoin. And 99 times out of 10, people's goal, let it be a major project like Ethereum or something less substantial and less of an actual blockchain like Ripple, the whole goal that most of these traders have, the vast majority of these traders have, is to actually accumulate more Bitcoin. And so ultimately, there's never going to be more than 21 million Bitcoin. Currently, we are at the 17 million Bitcoin mark. And if you were to own just one, then that would be one less for the 43 million millionaires that exist in the world. And if every one of those 43 million millionaires wanted one Bitcoin, it's not possible, simply because there are more millionaires currently than the number of total Bitcoin, and because some of the people in the world already have some of those Bitcoin locked up. Some people have more than one Bitcoin locked up. And if you have even a fraction of a Bitcoin locked up, then that hedges that amount of asset into your control, especially as the demand could accelerate without any notice just as easily, if not substantially far easier than the downward pressure of Bitcoin going to zero. They say that the downward pressure of Bitcoin going to zero is about $7,500 per coin currently as of today, but the potential of Bitcoin going to $1 million is near infinity, since there's no way to stop the potential demand, which could accelerate because of a number of different economic, political, and industrial factors. So it's super interesting is that either the whales or a huge buyer out there is messing around, and on Bitstamp we have 980 Bitcoin that has a buy order for $7.5 million. So you can see over here on this screenshot from Bitstamp, an order for right here 980 Bitcoin. Which is just a huge number of Bitcoin, $7.5 million. Someone put that buy order in there, and they're getting ready for the market to pop up, or just maybe trying to manipulate the market. But either way, be safe out there. Not financial advice. A lot of news coming out of the SEC, a lot of news coming out of the financial regulators on the scene inside America. And what we have, the SEC Chairman Jay Clayton, who says Bitcoin is not a security. He says most ICOs likely are securities. He says Bitcoin is likely not a security. And he says it's not a security since it acts as a replacement for sovereign currencies, so for sovereign fiat. And so he says since Bitcoin can replace the dollar, the yen, the euro with Bitcoin, that type of currency is actually not a security. It's a replacement. It's a currency. It's not a security, because a security, a digital asset that could be defined as a security, is where I give you my money and you go off and make a venture. And in return for me giving you my money, you say, you know what, I'm going to give you a return. That's what a security is. And the SEC regulates that. They regulate the offerings that are defined as securities, where folks are accepting money, where businesses, organizations are accepting money, let it be Bitcoin or Ethereum or fiat, and then in exchange they're building something. In exchange for building something, people are expecting either a return of access or a return of capital or an increase in capital. They're expecting access tokens, but they're expecting those access tokens to actually increase in value. That's being seen as what a security is. And let me tell you, I think everything essentially is going to be, tokenized as a security. Buildings, real estate, different sort of financial vehicles, because of the speed, the power, the efficiencies, the rules behind writing the smart contracts that these regulated securities would have. Even if they're not going to be totally decentralized, we definitely see a world where the SEC is going to adopt this technology, because it's going to save so much money, it's going to make so much money, and it's going to provide them additional powers and capabilities to help do their job, which is regulating these different currencies. So with the SEC getting more involved, with the SEC getting more in line with blockchain technology, getting ready to adopt and to adapt it, it takes me back to what industry leaders in technology and business have been saying all along. So here we have Peter Thiel's thoughts on the Bitcoin and the technology. And on that subject, he's quoted here as saying that he would be long Bitcoin and neutral to skeptical of just about everything else at this point, with a few possible exceptions, maybe notably Ethereum. Thiel said that during a conversation Thursday at the Economic Club of New York, there will be one online equivalent to gold, and that one you'd bet would be the biggest. So he's saying that there's not going to be two different online golds. There's going to be one online gold. Essentially what he's saying is that there's going to be one world currency of the internet, and that one, equivalent of gold, that one currency, it's not going to be the only one, but it is going to be the dominant one. And what we're expecting to see, based on the law of populations and size of cities across the world, what we tend to notice is that the largest city in the world is twice the size of the second largest city in the world. And so with those economies of scale, with the diversification of large networks, large systems, we think that one is going to be the biggest. We agree with Peter Thiel that one is going to be the biggest, and more than likely that one is going to be Bitcoin. Not just because Bitcoin is the most decentralized, not just because Bitcoin is the most secure, not just because Bitcoin is the first and does the best job of any other digital currency, digital asset of being distributed and immutable and decentralized, but it's also the currency, it's also the project that has gained the greatest amount of network effect from the surrounding people, from the surrounding businesses, from the surrounding processes and infrastructure and the operations around which, right? And so because people like Peter Thiel and organizations and businesses that are involved around Bitcoin have invested so much into the Bitcoin network, that creates all of this additional value from these different aspects of the network, organizations that are plugged into the network, the different holders, right? The miners, all of these folks that have a huge interest in Bitcoin's success are going to help lean Bitcoin and bring Bitcoin through the technological development and the usage and the investment and the like, all of the stuff into this potentially number one coin of the internet. If you check out the show notes below, there's this excellent Twitter thread that summarizes Peter Thiel's thoughts from the conference, and I definitely recommend you take a peek at these to have a better insight and understanding of what's happening in the world and how some of these very large business leaders are thinking about this. And at the same time that they're thinking about this, we have this breaking news from the Associated Press that says information from the government that Medicare will become insolvent in 2026, 3 years earlier than expected, and that Social Security will soon follow in 2034, asking a lot of millennials why are they going to be paying into this system, why are they going to be trusting into the US dollars, and a lot of other people asking at what point is this broken system of dollars and monetary policy that has led into the 2008 financial crisis going to wring its head around again and really potentially be a catalyst for massive amounts of change moving forward. Separately, we have Apple co-founder who wants Bitcoin to be the pure currency of the internet. And so the Apple co-founder, Steve Wozniak, is hopeful that Bitcoin will become the single currency of the internet, similar to the comments that we can extrapolate and get directly from Peter Thiel. We have Steve Wozniak here, who's echoing the voice and CEO of Twitter and Square, Jack Dorsey, that says Bitcoin is likely to become the single worldwide currency of not just the world, but also the internet. He goes on to say during the interview that Bitcoin is mathematically defined, that there's a certain quantity of Bitcoin, there's a way it's distributed, and it's pure, and there's no human running it, there's no company running it, and it's just growing and growing and surviving. And that says something that it's natural, and nature is more important than all of our human conventions. Wozniak goes on to say that I buy into what Jack Dorsey says, that I not necessarily believe it's going to happen, but because I want it to be that way. That is so pure thinking. Just going on to say he doesn't know for sure if it's going to happen. None of us know for sure if it's going to happen, but Steve and a lot of us all across the world want it to happen. We are looking forward to it to happening, to have this natural law, this natural order, this mathematical formula of currency that we choose to use or not use to help create value in a way that is naturally based and not just based on a single human or a single group of humans. Wozniak goes on to say that the internet is going to have a native currency. So let's not wait for it to happen. Let's help it happen. I don't know if it will be Bitcoin, but I hope it will be Bitcoin. And while we have Jack Dorsey, who says that customers can now buy and sell Bitcoin in its Cash app, Jack Dorsey observed that this was a feature that their customers wanted. And they wanted to support Bitcoin because they see it as a step in a long-term path toward greater financial access for all. Steve Wozniak says that Bitcoin is going to become the new gold, just as Peter Thiel was saying in the last article. And Jack Dorsey said that Bitcoin will overtake the dollar in importance as it becomes the single global currency of the internet within a decade. And why else do we think this? We think that Bitcoin could become, far more important than the dollar and overtake the dollar, because while there are so many dollars that are being printed year after year after year after year at an exponential rate, it seems, the amount of new Bitcoin getting created is decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. That seems to be a world where the value of Bitcoin may go up as the supply decreases and the demand increases, and it seems like a world where the dollar decreases in value as it has already created more global disparagement, creating a separation of what people can obtain, and apparently hasn't worked for anybody of minus maybe 1% of the population over the past 100 years or so. Okay, so just to wrap up the show real quick, I just wanted to touch upon the Zen 51% attack and Zen's commitment to being anti-fragile. We are big believers in Zen. We love the philosophy of Zen and what it's doing, not just in terms of privacy and currency, but also what it's doing in terms of a platform and creating a publishing platform for people that's very similar to Bitcoin, while allowing it to have these additional levels of privacy, not just in terms of the currency and not just in terms of the communication, but also in terms of being a messaging platform, obfuscating its technology with secure nodes, with master nodes, allowing more game theory economics with distributing of Zen via the Zen mining, or via running a secure node with 42 Zen, or being able to run a master node with 500 Zen. And I just wanted to touch upon some of the misconceptions and what actually happened with the 51% attack, according to the blog at Zencash. And so some facts here, just 3 points that they're pointing out, is that 1, there were no coins that were created out of thin air. And that 2, this event was fraud against a specific victim, which was what they call a valuable exchange partner. I'm not sure if this was Bittrex or who is the exchange. I didn't do that level of research, but in the 51% attack, no coins were created. They just used the 51% attack to fraudulently steal Zen from a specific exchange, and then maybe convert that Zen into Bitcoin and pull that money out or what have you. And so that's who got ultimately hurt the most in this exchange. I think 23,000 Zen were stolen, which is a significant amount of money, and that's an unfortunate loss for that exchange, which is providing a service for people, providing liquidity to the market, and trying to keep their assets safe just like the rest of us. Third, private keys and messages and all your Zen off the exchanges are perfectly safe. And there were no victims in terms of that regard. This was all against a single specific victim. And what's really interesting is just the way that the team is handling this, the speed in which they handled it, and now what they're doing to work with their team and their partners to prevent this from happening again. So if you're interested in knowing more about this attack and the response from Zencash, feel free to check out this blog and see what Rob Viglione has to say. Feel free to check out, Zencash on CoinMarketCap or Live Coin Watch. It was $30, a week ago, and now it's $22. Keep in mind that you could have a secure node for 42 Zen, maybe 43 or 43 and a half after you pay the fees if you pay someone else to do it. And then, with that secure node, you could be reinforcing the Zencash network as well as creating new Zen. Currently 3.5%. It's distributed to those node operators, soon to be increased to 10% of the total Zen cash reward distributed to the secure node operators, of which you could be a part of. If you're interested in learning more, feel free to ask us either in the comments below or over at our Discord group. So that's all we have for you today in this episode. We have more information on the way. There's a lot happening in the space in terms of the regulators. There's a lot happening in the space in terms of projects. And we're also planning on sharing a insider's look and update what's happening behind the scenes, again, to our Patreon group. So feel free to check out that as well. It doesn't take much, maybe just $1 or $2 to become our patron. And just any little bit really helps support us and really helps support doing what we're doing in terms of sharing information with you, getting news out there, getting some commentary out there, and then also helping us participate in the rest of the community, meeting with developers, working with developers, business leaders, and everyday users to raise awareness around Bitcoin, blockchain technology, why this is new, why this is exciting, why it's fundamentally different from anything we've ever seen. And again, tap that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and until next time, I'm glad that we are minting coins.